Hello and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. Now if you say, what do you mean welcome back? I've not seen a video of this like this from you before. We've done the demo of the life and suffering of Sir Brante way back, I would say probably 2 or 3 months ago on Indie Sunday. We played through the first 2 chapters of the life and suffering of Sir Brante, so definitely check those out first if you want to continue watching this series. Now I have to say, before we get into it, I probably won't continue in that pace that we do 1 chapter per episode, because like the second chapter I think was 2.5 hours, and that's kind of long. And it's kind of, I mean, I could technically make breaks in between recording and in between chapter, like the different parts of the chapters, but I think it's better for everyone if I just do episodes that vary from somewhere between half an hour to an hour, and I look at what are good points at which I can, you know, make a cut here, and then we continue with the chapter later. Probably gonna end up being parts of 2 years, I assume, in in-game time. And now I really hope, because it said that you can continue your save state, so to speak, your game from the demo into the actual game. If it doesn't work, then, well, you would probably never see this anyway. Continue. Yep, there we go. Ah, it actually tells me right here when we did it. On the 11th of December 2020. So it's been almost 3 months now. We're in the year 1133, called Calamity. And yeah, if probably already too late to say this, because all the people who actually wanted to check out chapter 1 and chapter 2 are already there and not here anymore. Yeah, you want to watch those first. I personally do not remember I remember a lot of the events that happened. I don't necessarily remember order. I definitely do not remember the voices I gave the characters. So, well, we're just gonna do our best to sort of get close. I remember some of the characteristics, and I usually voice characters based on what I know of them. So we'll do our best. We'll see what we can do. Let's go. Okay, I got 3 achievements based on our, well, game state from the demo. I think we got more achievements. I'm not sure actually. This might be 1 year earlier than where the demo ended, and that just might be something with the game states being kind of weird, the save state. But if it is, that's not an issue. We can just, you know, repeat that 1 year and we can get back into it quicker. For me personally, at least. No, that's fine. The end of adolescence. I think that's where it ended. Last night was your final night at home. The carriage is now waiting at the gate, ready to take you to the capital. The clip-clopping of the idle hooves against the cobblestones count the seconds before your departure. You take one more look at your parents' house and recall your childhood spent there in the nearby yards, at your school, and on the winding streets of Anisot. Anisot, the city that we grew up in. You clashed with the greater world around you and survived. You felt the tingle of emotion for the first time. You were taught by the school and the streets. You explored the city of your birth and learned something of its past. You witnessed first-hand events that will be remembered by history for all time. All of this is yours now, forever. You saw death, lesser death, followed by rebirth, and the true death that takes and never gives back. You saw death lying in wait to strike the unaware, like a beast stalking its prey. You saw grandfather's angry grimace lit by the flickering fire of the lamp, the Archduke's cavalry trampling those who stood in their way, and your older brother's bloodied sword slicing through the air. Death has followed you from a very young age. And yet you live on. You have a friend who has been by your side all these years. Thomas taught you many things. How to take a hit, how to keep your word, and how to remain true to your own self. And now Thomas is walking to the same carriage as you are, with a heavy bag slung over his shoulder. Your friend will remain your companion for the time being. Ahead of you is a long trip towards the capital and adulthood. For the first time, you will be away from your family and home. what awaits you in the future. Okay, and now we get a bit of an overview over what all happened in that phase of our life. Can take a quick look for it just to remind us. Thomas, a boy we got in a fight with early on because I think he was bullying our brother, sort of, if not, well, maybe, I don't remember 100%, something like that. And then we sort of fought and became friends. Matters of the heart, you experience your first romantic feelings. I'm not sure yet whether that was... there was some sort of princess, I think, or a noble at least. That whole event didn't go particularly well as far as I remember. But we didn't die, at least. I guess that's a positive in this world. Started studying at the school of Sir Tibor and began to master the sciences. Yeah, we experienced a revelation by the sacred silver tree. Had an epiphany. I have sort of a vague image for that in my head, but I don't really recall what exactly happened there. Yeah, Sir Gregor Brante, our grandfather, died. His final death. Then we joined the blood tide of the Brante family. Yeah, indeed. And then we departed on our way to the capital. Your future awaits you in Eterna, the capital. Let's look at our stats. We're honorable as our nobility. We are bright. It's at least better than slow. We're not far off enterprising. And we're mundane. We're not too on the whole spiritual side of things. We do have some willpower left, and we died once. True death is number 4, so we've technically got 2 jokers in our back pocket, if you want to say that. Continue. You.
Leaving my hometown behind, I set out for the capital of the Empire. There, I would discover my role in society.
Yeah, the game in and of itself isn't voice acted, but some of those cutscenes apparently are. The demo didn't have that voice acting. Not to want to come off as rude or anything, the voice acting isn't great. Probably from listening to it, not the fault of the voice actor himself, but it sounds like the voice direction wasn't quite on point because the lines don't really seem to fit quite right. You maybe didn't hear too much of it right there, but I watched NL play a bit of it yesterday on his stream, and NL Northern Line, by the way, just in case you don't know. And yeah, he looked at the trailer, and the trailer had a lot more voice lines, and yeah, some of them really didn't quite feel right. But anyway. Leaving home. The driver flicks the reins. The carriage slowly sways as it starts moving away from your home. You stick your head out the window and wave goodbye to your family. Nathan is running after the carriage with Thomas' younger brother in tow, tears glistening in their eyes. Yeah, I think it might have been his younger brother that fought, well, together with Thomas against my younger brother, something like that. It hurts to leave your home behind. Ahead lies Eterna, the Imperial Capital. You have often read about it and heard stories from Father and Stefan. It is a city that surpasses Anisot enormously in terms of size, age, wealth and beauty. But what is it really like? What kind of life awaits you there? What will you learn there, and where will your actions take you? You pass the old walls of Anisot. Somewhere within them is the old fortress you and Thomas built together out of old wooden planks, now left to the care of your younger brothers. You two are adults now. Perhaps your fortress will crumble, now abandoned, or perhaps your brothers will continue what you started. Who knows? You look down at your hands, knuckles covered in scars from street antics, fingers stained with ink. Mother gave you a cross to wear away from home, and now you can feel its warmth against your chest. Your family counts on you, even though they all wish a different future for you. But they are behind you now, in Anisot. From this point on, only you will decide which road you will take. This is the journey you prepared for throughout your entire childhood. Ahead of you lie many years in the capital, years that will determine your fate and your place in society. Okay, as always we get a overview at the start that tells us just what sort of things we might encounter in this chapter, such as true death. We can either accept true death or die 4 times. That is interesting. I assume we will get the option to choose true death every time we die, where we can sort of say, okay, life sucks, this isn't worth it, we're not going back. Or once we die 4 times, even if we would like to go back, it's over. Path of the Nobleman. We can enroll in the Imperial College, hoping to become a judge and a nobleman of the mantle. Or we need diplomacy and valor, or valor, to be exact. Probably become a judge and a nobleman. It's not or. Okay. Path of the Priest. No. Path of the Lotless. You remain in the common estate with no choice but to fend for yourself and make your own way in the world. Doesn't sound like the worst option, but we'll see. There's so many. Okay, we're not looking at all of them. Your personal qualities in this chapter, they will be used for the rest of your life. So diplomacy is at 8. We're getting there. We're not quite there yet, but just one small step further and we'll be promising in diplomacy. Theology, it's there or thereabouts. We're not completely ignorant to religion, but we're also not really focusing on it. Manipulation, still naive, but same as diplomacy, we're getting there. Valor, we're as good in battle as we are in religion. Mediocre. We're not very eloquent at all. Our weakest attribute by far so far, but we're slightly scheming. There we go. Let's continue and actually get into chapter 3 now, properly. Year 1134. Arrival in the capital. It takes a whole month to reach Eterna. You and Tomas spend the days wagging your chins and staring at the scenery as your carriage makes its way along the road and towards the next province. Soon it crosses from the familiar barren, arid lands of Magra on to the stately mountains of Illyria. During one of your many stays at a roadside inn, the two of you even manage to share a whole bottle of strong wine and keep it a secret from the servant who drives the carriage. Adult life feels positively intoxicating. Soon, I tell you, soon we'll be there, and I'll earn my sword as soon as I get accepted into the military academy. You'll see, and then nobody's gonna walk all over me like I'm some commoner. You keep rehearsing everything they taught you in school. Soon you're almost at the end of your long journey. You have left behind the arid rocks of Magra, the mountains of Illyria, and the flooded meadows of Arknia. Eterna, the capital, is right ahead. That is certainly very loud. Situated at the junction between the Reglata and Tararina rivers, the city is vast. 3 majestic stone bridges keep its 3 shores interconnected. Smooth stone paves the main city streets. Gilded moldings decorate the buildings. Towering pillars reach high into the sky. Your carriage takes you past a spacious park with marble fountains and intricately trimmed bushes. On the streets you see ornately decorated carriages bearing Arknian coats of arms and abundant merchants' tents filling the streets with beckoning cries and unusual sights. The spires of ancient temples dot the city skyline. Okay, you know what? Going down there a bit. The carriage comes to a halt on a large city square with a towering marble fountain. The coachman says you have arrived. Tomas is to apply to the military academy. The academy barracks are 2 streets away. Your lodging house is in the alleyway nearby. A room has already been reserved for you. You get out onto the street and say brief goodbyes to each other. You promise to meet again after the entrance exams. Then your friend disappears into the crowded streets of the capital. I think it didn't get any quieter, to be honest. Oh, whatever, we'll have to live with it. You're left to your own devices in this vast city. A group of nobles walk past. They are dressed in well-fitting clothing decorated with gems and golden thread. You are not even noticed. Street urchins chase a dog down the alleyway. Soldiers of the Imperial Legion are marching to fifes and drums towards the barracks. Humble pilgrims are gathering to the great temple of the twins. There are the sounds of music and fountains and the smells of baked bread and garbage drains. You quickly check in at the lodging house, then go back outside. The sun is setting. The streetlights come to life. Merry music fills the tavern. Couples and noble coaches with tinted windows fill the streets. Shadows and hushed voices and laughter fill the parks. You are all alone with this city, so vast and unfamiliar. You take a look around, determined to fill your first nights in the capital with memories. You see young nobles gathered by the fountain, talking and making jokes excitedly. One of them keeps glancing at the clock tower. They are about your age. Their clothes are hand-tailored and two of them bear noble swords. They seem to be waiting for something. It might be a good idea to make their acquaintance. It would be most helpful to develop a familiarity with the influential nobles of the capital. Loud music from a large establishment on the corner distracts you for a moment. The servants have just opened the shutters to air out the hall. It seems there will be a gathering inside. People from various estates greet each other as they take their seats. A servant by the door of the establishment hails you. Sir Gert Augrath will be making a speech about the rights of the common estate. If you wish to listen, you'd better get inside quickly. Then you look at the great temple of the twins at the far end of the street. The pillar shines in the evening dusk above it. The temple gates are open and worshippers are flocking inside. There are too many people for an ordinary service. This must be something important. What do they preach here in the capital? What do they say of the new faith and the teachings of Patriarch Photis? You snap out of your reverie when you hear loud laughter. A group of young men dressed in the colors of the Imperial College have made the acquaintance of several lovely girls. They are making their way down the road, united by merriment. One of the girls smiles at you. It is an invitation to join them. They turn the corner and walk away, but you can still hear their voices ringing and echoing through the street. A night of revelry and jolly, loud fun doesn't sound half bad. This is your first night in Eterna. No matter what you choose, you will remember it for a long time to come. This is difficult. I don't really want to go to the Great Temple of the Twins. Do we run after the students? Do we meet the noble youths? My fear with meeting the noble youths is that they're just gonna laugh us off as a commoner and then go about their ways, which wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. At the same time, it might be a good introduction to how nobility works and how the differences in lot work in the capital. I would then probably have a prejudice against any sort of nobles in the capital if this goes badly. So I think I kind of want to know how it turns out. More so, although I'd love to see what happens with the students and everything. I think for our future, it is more beneficial to meet the noble youths. Arrival in the capital. You approach the young nobles and introduce yourself tactfully. Your father, a judge, has sent you here to study, you explain. Would they mind showing you around the capital? The nobles eye you uncertainly and whisper to each other. You prepare to face their rejection, but to your surprise, they agree. Nice. When the clock tower strikes 8, your new acquaintances proceed to a rich house not too far away. Candlelight fills the halls before you, reflected in abundant mirrors and gilded picture frames. Manservants bring drinks and refreshments to every guest. This kind of looks like the sort of cover picture of the game. There are the sounds of music and laughter and small talk. Here and there you see couples dancing to the music. It appears you have made it to a small noble party. The nobles are gathered in groups. You take the time to get introduced to each of them and join in their small talk. Some discuss their studies at the college, while others relay fresh gossip. Have you heard that a Milanidas carriage was seen in the city the other day? You mention how you once encountered Octavia Milanidas, daughter and heiress to the Archduke of Magra. That's the princess in quotation marks that I was talking about earlier, at a square in an izot. These words draw a small crowd. The Milanidas dynasty rarely, if ever, visits Eterna. They say it is the only house that can stand its ground against the Imperial Tempest dynasty. One young man even allows himself a little joke. They say the great Arcanian houses turn to a Milanidas only when a Tempest needs to be refused. After all, only the Milanidas dynasty still knows how to say no. But there is more. It turns out all humans owe the Milanidas dynasty for their foray into nobility. Jar Milanidas was the Arcanian who opened the first college, and its graduates were the first to be ennobled by the mantle. To feed and nourish their barren lands, the Dukes of Magra took to industry and began adopting innovative industrial and social practices. The dynasty's motto is remembrance and majesty, but strife and change would suit them better. Then, the nobles start discussing the other great Arcanian dynasties. The Tempest dynasty is the first of the first, naturally, marked by the twins anointed to rule. All Tempests are known for their sincerity, often bordering on a volatile temper, yet it is this very passion that has led them throughout history. The Tempests have been chosen by the gods to rule the empire. The Diamond Dynasty are the main supporters of the emperor's family, honor personified. The Diamonds preside at the Arcanian courts of honor that remain throughout the empire in spite of the public taboo. These courts hold more sway over the laws and lives of the nobility than imperial edicts or prefectural authorities. Some mention Patriarch Junius Diamond, the black sheep of his own dynasty. He preaches the new faith that rejects the lots and stirs the minds of the common folk. The Augrath Dynasty is another noble bloodline favored by the emperor. They zealously advocate the twins' faith and see the empire as the union between heaven and earth. Every year, the Augraths donate enough funds to build new temples across the empire. The Monrogue Dynasty is an ancient and controversial name. The Monrogues often speak in favor of removing humans from nobility, restoring nobility as a solely Arcanian privilege, and returning all human-manned offices in the empire to the Arcanians. Many gossipers accuse the Monrogues of plotting against the rule of the Tempests to bring back the old Arcanian Republic and the joint rule of the great Arcanian dynasties as it existed long before the emperors first came to be. The discussion of courtly affairs and noble dynasties soon gives way to cultured entertainment. Expensive wine flows like water. You, too, ask a couple noble ladies to dance and show your skill. You return to your lodging room in the small hours of the night with just enough strength left to undress before your aching head and feet make you collapse. For the first time in your life, you have mingled with a noble crowd on your own, without your family's aid. And it went pretty damn well, if I may say so myself. Our willpower has gone down. Well, I can see why. It probably took quite a bit of courage to go to them and go with them. But diplomacy and manipulation, those are the kind of skills that I would most like to increase. So that's very, very good. Arrival to the capital. You arrived in Eterna, the ancient capital of the blessed Arcanian Empire. Luke's sermon. You have spent the last 3 days studying books, but today you decide to take a walk through the streets of Eterna. They are full of life as usual. You proceed to the square next to the lodging house. A procession of priests walk through the square. You notice that one of them holds a banner of the new faith, an open book. This is the same banner that was behind Patriarch Photis on the day of his assassination. A crowd immediately gathers around them. Many people are looking at an icon painting on a small pedestal, depicting a grey-haired man with glowing green eyes. You recognize that face, the face of the late Patriarch Photis. A man with a thick beard appears by the icon painting. His broad shoulders bear a white and gold cloak with the coat of arms of the capital province embroidered on it. He is Luke, Patriarch of Arcania. He casts his stern gaze over the crowd. I speak to all who live within the sight of the shining pillar. Exactly 1 year ago, we lost Photis, Patriarch of the Magra province, mentor of the new faith. Patriarch Photis was the first to see the books of Isachius for nothing but the words of a man, not the words of the twins themselves. He was the first to tell people to seek the path to the gods in their own hearts instead of blindly following the lots, to seek answers in the lives of the twins and their own hearts rather than the words of priests. Through Patriarch Photis, we were able to see the truth. Through his death, we saw that his words are not heresy. They are the truth that used to be obscured by Isacius' lies. And now I bring good news. Patriarch Junius Diamond has seen to it that our teacher will be canonized as a saint. Yes, Junius Diamond, an Archnean from a great dynasty and the Patriarch of Astynia, has joined the new faith himself. And through this we hope that the entire empire will soon see that our doctrine is the truth. We are free from the shackles of the lots. We are equal before the twins. With each day more and more people hearken to the truth, and one day the entire empire will hear our call. So let us pray, my brothers. The believers around you bow their heads in prayer and thank the twins, not for the lot they were given as they usually would, but for the chance to choose their own path. The Patriarch's sermon is inspiring. It compels your hands to meet in a sign of prayer. It compels your lips to repeat the words of the new faith. Patriarch Luke's sermon forms a cadence, and your heart beats in time with it now. You recall the murder of Patriarch Photis a year ago. It seems more patriarchs share his doctrine now. The news of Junius Diamond joining the new faith is stunning. If an Archnean from a great dynasty has sided with Photis' doctrine and agreed to see everyone as equal under the twins, the new faith must truly be putting down roots. But suddenly, several figures appear by the podium. Figures clad in black with glinting silver on their sides. Inquisitors. They push through the crowd and form a circle around Patriarch Luke. One of these priests rises before the crowd. He's clean-shaven, tall, with chiseled features. Everyone falls silent at the sight of him. The Inquisitor speaks with a booming voice that can be heard by all. I am Father Ulrich. In the name of the twins and by my rights as an Inquisitor, I order you to turn around and leave. The words you're hearing are full of lies. Patriarch Luke has set out to poison your hearts and minds, and the Inquisition will not allow this heresy to spread. The only true path in life is the will of the twins. Life offers us no other choice. You are hereby ordered to disperse at once. Most people leave the square immediately. Few want to get involved with the Inquisition. Some people stay, however, and some even shout angrily. We want to listen to Luke. He's the Patriarch of Archnia, and he has more to say. Get away from our sermon, old believers. We will not listen to you and your hoary old lies about the lots. Inquisitors, bring those who may yet listen back to their lots, and leave the others to the champions of faith. The black-clad Inquisitors descend from the podium and approach the people who choose to stay. With nothing but their words, they make people stop shouting and start listening. The uproar ceases quickly. They have dissected the crowd, split it in smaller groups that surround each Inquisitor. One of these Inquisitors chooses to approach you. He is a humble-looking man of age with a rough haircut. He looks you straight in the eye as his lively, soulful voice forces you to listen to his words despite yourself. My name is Father Jeremiah. I know your thoughts were stirred by the Patriarch's words. You are not sure whom to trust. But I teach at the seminary. I have been studying the teachings of the twins my entire life. You can trust me. I know I can hear what I know you can hear what I have to say. I see. The light in your eyes, the light of the true faith. Will you listen to my counsel, my son? You feel no malice in the words of Inquisitor Jeremiah, only hope. It is his lot to aid you, to guide you away from error and set you on the path of the true faith. He is a priest, so he should know the truth. Or perhaps the Inquisitor himself is in the wrong? We can either listen to his counsel, debate him, or resist him. I would like to debate him. I like debating. You start debating the Inquisitor, mustering all your knowledge and awareness of the new faith. The lots are an error introduced by Isacius. They are incorrect, obsolete, and contrary the way of life of the modern empire. Please hear me out, my son. In these difficult times, people of your estate are the ones most tormented by doubt. Your lot is suffering, but not all of you are ready to suffer. Some turn to guile and cunning to avoid it, and they end up in eternity's embrace at the foot of the pillar. Please understand, your lot requires humility. Suffering is inevitable, and so is doubt. Each of them may temper your soul, yet each may also destroy it. But know this, if you have doubts, you are always welcome at the temple. No priest will turn you away in a moment of weakness. This is why we exist, to fortify faith in the hearts of all people, to bring the word of the twins to those who have gone astray. Know this, the Inquisition does not imprison everyone suspect of heresy. We exist to protect souls, to guide and save them. We pursue dangerous doctrines and seek to rescue every soul we meet. Arrest or execution is our last resort, reserved only for sinners beyond redemption. You can see that I am merely speaking to you right now. I have not resorted to force, nor am I giving you any orders. Do not resist this, but rather consider the following. Did the Patriarch speak the truth? You answered that Luke's sermon was far more convincing than Father Jeremiah's words. Everyone blindly heeds the writings of Isaías, who is but one man who decided he had the right to define the lives of generations to come. But people have the right to free will, you say. They have the right to choose their destiny and bear the burden of their choice. Father Jeremiah sighs in response. It saddens me to see that you have been led astray so easily. Yet you are young. You should seek to learn the truth on your own. If you truly believe you can interpret the will of the gods, perhaps you should become a priest yourself. If you come to the Divine Seminary and prove you deserve the lots of the clergy, you will be accepted. I teach there, and I am always happy to see students of considerable talent, even if they have been led astray. But for now, you should leave this place. You will learn nothing by facing the champions of faith. With this, Father Jeremiah leaves you and proceeds further. You leave the square freely, your dignity preserved. The remaining people in the square continue arguing with the other inquisitors. Armed champions of faith stand nearby, but they do not intervene. Luke and his retinue can no longer be seen. You walk back to the lodging house, mulling over Father Jeremiah's words about the seminary. Your family sent you to earn a noble title, but you have an opportunity to become a priest of the old faith ordain you. If you see your destiny in service to the gods, no one has the right to stand in your way. But I don't. On the other hand, eloquence is certainly a skill that I will gladly take and improve. Similarly to manipulation, can be used for good things. Year 1134 Fall, the advance of the new faith. Patriarch Luke's sermons have converted many commoners and nobles of the mantle to the new faith. There are now several temples in Eterna that follow the new canons, with Luke's blessing. This has led to no small amount of anger among the followers of the old faith. Two mighty bishops of the church lead the new faith. One of them is Luke, the Patriarch of Archnia himself, spiritual mentor of the capital province. He preaches all across Archnia, his every sermon adding to the new faith's flock. The other leader of the new faith is Patriarch Junius Diamond. Hailing from a great Augrath Dynasty, he is the de facto ruler of Estynia province. Adored by his subjects, he has founded the Holy Order anew. Junius Diamond rarely preaches, but people believe the Estynian Patriarch attends to the needs of all who convert to the new faith. This schism within the church is growing. The split has furthered the divide between the commoners and the nobles, though thankfully there has been no direct conflict as of yet. But it has become clear that there is no way to stop the steady advance of the new faith. Born from the death of Patriarch Photis, it grows stronger by the day. Okay, the order goes down slightly. The people are discontent, and the church, well, more and more in a schism, splits apart. It's actually... Wait, it's at +2 now? No, it goes up +2, which equals -1 now. I was confused by which way around these work. Yeah, so it's at -1 now. The city that never sleeps. The next few weeks pass by in hard work in preparation for the coming entrance exam at the Imperial College. You grow more and more exhausted with each passing day, so much so that one night you fall asleep while studying another book. When you finally come to, you decide it is high time to get some recreation outside. The city of Eterna amazes you as you stroll through its splendid streets. It is another night, a different night, yet the city is beautiful still. The shining pillar is a slice of light against the dark night sky. The lamps on the facades of the buildings are lit. Night descends on the capital. You don't feel like going back to your books tonight. Recently, you made the acquaintance of several young men. They are children of nobles of the mantle, just like you, sent to the capital to earn their noble titles at the college. You decide to seek them out. Your new friends are having a late dinner on the next street over, loudly discussing their plans for the night. Some speak eagerly of a dueling club where you can see the most skilled and ardent duelers in the Empire doing what they do best. You have never seen professional duelers fight. It must be far more exciting than father's fencing lessons, or that fight in the ruins in Anizot. And if luck favors you, perhaps you can even make useful contacts among the noble families in the capital. The others try to convince the rest to take a trip to a certain secret salon. The establishment is expecting a guest tonight, they say. A young lady who speaks about the true state of affairs in the Empire. There are many questions about the nature of the place and identity of the mysterious speaker, but the young men have only one answer. They are forbidden to speak about this outside the club. However, they can take you there as long as you aren't afraid to learn a dangerous truth. The are others still drinking their fill of wine rather than eating. Fencing, they say. Speeches? Nonsense. The place you ought to go tonight, they claim, is the Marchian Society, a gathering for those of common estate but uncommon opinions, that offers pleasures for everyone. Pleasures of the palate, pleasures of drink, pleasures of the flesh. Is this not heresy and a crime? Perhaps, and yet some of your newfound friends are eager to go there. In the end, your group splits in three to spend the night as they see fit. What will it be? A contest featuring the best fencers in Eterna? An establishment both mysterious and dangerous, or an encounter with people who defy their lot with audacity? You weigh your options. I don't really have to weigh my options. We're 100% going to the secret salon. The secret salon is an unremarkable wooden building down an alleyway, a few blocks from the great temple of the twins. A couple of tough, taciturn fellows at the door eye you suspiciously. Their faces are obscured by hoods. One of your newfound friend nods to them, and you are allowed inside. The inner rooms are stuffy and overcrowded. All the partitions have been removed to make room for more people. There is a raised platform next to one of the walls, perhaps a stage. There are benches all around. They are occupied by people of the common estate, most of them modestly dressed. They are artisans, tinkers, street vendors, students, yet you see that some of them are wealthy and impeccably dressed. A mop-headed young man dressed like a low-ranking clerk appears on the stage. He claps to attract the public's attention. When the house goes quiet, he reads a series of pamphlets condemning the supreme authorities of the Empire and their obsolete rule. A group of young men appear on the stage next, their faces covered in blue paint. They perform a derisive play entitled A Day in the Life of the Tempest. Their performances are many, but their goal is always the same. They all claim the Empire is stuck in the past and has to change. Then finally, after another voice of accusation, a young girl appears on the stage, and the crowd immediately grows silent. This is her, the mysterious guest they were talking about. You look at her from the crowd. You see short black hair, a slender figure, and those familiar shining eyes. Brothers and sisters, you all came to this place because deep in your hearts you know. It's Sophia, the girl who used to live next door. I was honestly expecting that. She's grown so much since you've last seen her, but what is she doing here? But before Sophia even finishes her first sentence, a short man in a shabby jacket jumps up onto the stage. He flashes a badge and screams at the crowd. Nobody move! You're all under arrest as accomplices to an insurrection against the Empire. Imperial gendarmes barge into the house. Swords and crossbows glint in the dim light. First there's confusion, then panic. Screams of fear and outrage fill the hall. Sophia is already gone. You can barely hear the cries demanding that you stay where you are. People start pushing against the gendarmes, against the doors, against the windows. The din is deafening. Only one thought remains in your mind. You have to run. Run away as fast as you can. You push your way to the furthest window in the hall. A hand grabs you by the sleeve of your jacket. You pry it off without looking and keep pushing forward. The expensive jacket starts to tear at the shoulder. The window frame breaks and falls outside. You drop down after it. Shards of glass bite into your hands, but you barely feel the pain. You will have time to feel it later, but now you need to run. You run and dodge and weave through the alleyways before finally heading for the lodging house. Your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, blood is dripping from the cuts on your arms. You have no idea what happened to the people who were arrested. Finally, you reach your room and collapse onto the bed. You are safe from pursuit, but not from anxiety. What was Sophia going to say? How did she end up here in the capital after she escaped? Was she arrested too? There are too many questions, but you have no way to answer them. Eventually, you drift off into restless sleep. +1 scheming. That's nice. Honestly, we should just never meet Sophia again. Everything always goes wrong when she's near. Year 1135. Okay. So, I'm going to make a cut here. I'm just going to continue recording, but there will be a cut in next part. Year 1135 will be in the next episode. Probably gonna do 2 episodes a week. I'm not sure yet at which dates and at what time they will be, but they'll be there. You'll see, and they'll be consistently at those dates and times. Then, from then on forwards. Yeah, the first 1 year took about 35 minutes, which is longer than I expected. We're currently, I think we're 17. If there's, I don't know, 60 more years, we're in for 30 hours of gameplay. I don't suppose there will be. And we'll also probably die before we reach that age. But yeah, I expect a good, I don't know, 15 hours more of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's that long, which is incredibly long for a game that offers you a multitude of options and opportunities to go in any sort of different way. I was thinking beforehand if we might do, depending on how much you like the series, if we might do multiple playthroughs. But if it really is like 20 hours, then we might not. Or we might do like very shortened playthroughs, where I skip through most of the stuff and just generally inform you about what's going on, and just maybe read new events to you, something like that. But we can think about that later. We've barely even started our life here. So yeah, cut here, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.